What does it mean to actually be a great dad? Not a perfect dad, a great one. There's a difference. One who's present, intentional, and deeply connected to his kids in a way that lasts long after they leave your house. I've been wrestling with that question for years. As a dad, as a pastor, and as a researcher who has studied leadership and identity development in children. And what I've come to believe is this: great fathering isn't accidental. You can't just drift your way into it. It's intentional, it's committed, and it starts with a clear sense of purpose. So today, I want to offer you a purpose worth building your life around. And then I want to give you the 7 commitments that make that purpose possible. Here's the purpose: become your child's father friend. Not just their dad, their father friend. A man who leads with responsibility, loves through relationship, and lives with courageous, sacrificial devotion to his family. That's the target. That's the finish line. And what I want to do today is give you the starting line. So what is a father friend? Let me explain what I mean by that phrase, because it might sound a little like a contradiction at first. A lot of guys hear friend and think, wait, I'm not supposed to be my kid's buddy. I'm their father. And you're right. You're not their buddy. But here's what I've noticed. Most dads land hard on one side of the spectrum or the other. Either they're the authority figure, firm, structured, and maybe a little distant, or they're the fun, easygoing guy who struggles to hold a line when it matters. Authority without affection, or affection without authority. A father friend holds both. He's the dad who can discipline and then sit with his son afterwards and say, I love you and I'm here for you. He's the dad whose daughter isn't afraid to come to him when life falls apart because she's seen over and over again that he's safe. He leads with strength and tenderness. He's not soft. He's not rigid. He's intentional. That kind of fathering doesn't happen on autopilot. It requires commitment, which brings me to what I want to spend the rest of our time on today. Why commitments matter. Here's a truth I've seen play out over and over again in the 25 years of ministry that I've experienced. Most fathers don't fail because they don't love their kids. They fail because they never really decided what kind of father they want to be. They react instead of respond. They parent from habit instead of intention. They repeat patterns from their own upbringing without ever stopping to ask, is this working? Is this producing the outcome I really want? Commitments change that. They're not lofty ideals for perfect dads. They're honest, heartfelt intentions of the will, declared before the hard moments even arrive, so that when they do, you already know where you stand. Think of them like anchors. When the water gets rough, and it will, these are what hold you in place. So let's go through them together. I've developed 7 commitments of a father friend. Commitment number 1, I will choose self-awareness over self-protection. This one is the foundation, and it's the hardest one for a lot of men to make because it requires honesty, not the kind you perform for other people, but the kind you practice alone, in private, when nobody's watching. Self-awareness means you're willing to look at your past, your wounds, your wiring, the family you grew up in, and ask, how are these things shaping the way that I parent today? Were you raised by a man who was cold and critical? There's a good chance you either mimic that or overcorrect so hard in the other direction that you lose your authority. Were you raised with chaos and inconsistency? You might be bringing that same unpredictability into your own home without realizing it. Most of us father from default. We do what was done to us, or we swing to the opposite extreme, and we never stop to evaluate either one. Self-awareness is the discipline of stopping, examining, asking hard questions, and refusing to father from damage when you could be fathering from health. This doesn't mean you need to have it all figured out before you engage. It means you stay curious about yourself. You stay honest. You bring your whole self, healed and growing, into the work of fatherhood. Commitment number 2, I will break the cycle. This one follows directly from the first. Once you've seen the patterns, you have a choice. And this commitment is your declaration that you're choosing differently. Every family has a cycle. It might be anger. It might be emotional distance. It might be workaholism, addiction, conflict avoidance, or a brand of perfectionism that makes your kids feel like they can never measure up. Whatever was handed to you by your father or his father before him, it doesn't have to be handed to your kids. But here's what I want you to understand. Cycles don't break themselves. They require someone to stand in the gap and say, this stops with me. That someone is you. You are not a victim of your history. You are the author of what comes next. Name what was broken. Face it with honesty and courage. Grieve it if you need to. And then, by God's grace, rewrite the story. Turn the pain into wisdom. Let your kids inherit something better than what you received. This is one of the most powerful things a father can do. Commitment number 3, I will build positive emotional memory. Here's something that research confirms and that most of us know intuitively if we stop to think about it. Your kids will not remember most of what you say to them. They won't remember the lectures, the advice, the carefully reasoned arguments you made about why they needed to make better decisions. What they will remember is how you made them feel. Did they feel safe with you? Did they feel seen? Did they feel like they mattered to you, not just as a responsibility, but as a person you genuinely delighted in? Building positive emotional memory is intentional work. It's choosing presence over distraction. It's leading with empathy when your first instinct is to lead with correction. It's creating enough safety in the relationship that your kid actually wants to come to you before the crisis, not just during it. You can speak truth into your children's lives. You can hold the line. You can say hard things, but all of that lands differently, better, more deeply when it comes through the filter of connection, when your kids know in their bones that you are for them. Commitment number 4, I will parent with the end in mind. One of the most common traps in fathering is managing the moment at the expense of the mission. You're so focused on getting through today, the homework, the battle, the attitude, the messy room, that you lose sight of what you're actually building. Here's the question I want every thinking dad to sit with. What kind of adult do I want my son or daughter to become? What character traits, what values, what kind of a relationship do I hope they'll have? What do I want them to believe about themselves? And then, just as importantly, what kind of father do I need to be right now to help that become reality? Parenting with the end in mind means you're not just managing behavior, you're building a person. It means the disciplined choices you make today aren't just about compliance, they're about character formation. It means you're asking not just, how do I get through this, but what is this moment teaching my child about life, about themselves, about me, maybe even about God? Short-term thinking produces short-term results. Long-term thinking builds legacy. Commitment number 5, I will embrace both authority and affection. I mentioned this when I described what a father friend is, but it deserves its own commitment because this is where a lot of good men get stuck. Most dads are mostly more comfortable with one than the other. Some men are great at authority. They hold the line, set expectations, follow through on consequences, but they struggle to be warm. Their kids respect them, but they don't feel close to them. And there's a sadness in that for the dad and for the kid. Other men are great at affection. Their kids love being around them, but they've never learned to hold a firm boundary without caving. And over time, love without structure doesn't produce security, it produces anxiety. Here's what I've come to believe. Discipline without relationship breeds rebellion, and love without boundaries invites chaos. You need both. Your kids need both from you. So commit to leading with both strength and tenderness. Learn to correct without crushing, to instill respect without demanding control, to be the kind of man your kids feel both safe with and anchored by. That combination, authority and affection together, is rare, and it's transformative. Commitment number 6, I will stay teachable. I'm going to be straight with you. The most dangerous version of a father is a man who thinks he's already got it all figured out, who's stopped learning, who dismissed the feedback from his wife, from his kids, from the men around him, because somewhere along the way, he decided he knew enough. Staying teachable is not weakness. It's one of the most powerful things a father can model for his children. Because when your kids watch you learn from failure, seek out wisdom, or ask for help, they learn that growth is normal, that being human is okay, that you don't have to be perfect to be worthy of love and respect. Stay in the Word, find a mentor or be one. Read, listen, be the kind of man who is still being shaped by life, not hardened by it. And here's one source you might not expect. Stay teachable by your own kids. They will show you things about yourself that nobody else can, if you're willing to pay attention. Commitment number 7, I will keep showing up. We end here, and I want you to hear this one clearly because I think it might be the most important thing I say today. Keep showing up. Even when you're unsure, even when you're exhausted, even when you've had a terrible week and yesterday you handled something badly and you're carrying that weight into today, keep showing up. The most powerful thing you can offer your children is not your money, not your advice, not your connections, not even your wisdom. It's your presence. Physical, emotional, engaged presence. A father who's simply there, consistently, reliably, over the long haul, does something in a child's soul that nothing can replicate. And here's the grace in this. And I know I keep saying this. You don't have to show up perfectly. You just have to show up. Your kids don't need a flawless father. They need a faithful one who keeps coming back, who stays in the room, who, even after a hard moment, reaches back toward the relationship. There will be seasons when you feel unqualified for this, days when you wonder if you're doing any of this right. In those moments, remember this. The fact that you're asking the question is evidence that you're the right man for the job. Unqualified men don't wonder if they're enough. They just don't think about it. You're thinking about it. That means you're already different. Keep going. 7 commitments, not a checklist, not a performance standard, a set of anchors for the journey. Choose self-awareness over self-protection. Break the cycle. Build positive emotional memory. Parent with the end in mind. Embrace both authority and affection. Stay teachable and keep showing up. If you want more detail about the 7 commitments, I've written about them at fatherfriend.net. And if this episode was helpful, share it with a dad you know who's serious about this work. That's who we're here for, thinking dads who want to lead well. So until next time, lean in, lead well, and love big.